And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And again, like we do every day, we got a magnificent, fantastic, fantabulous, holy mackerel, great show for you today. You know what? I want you to know that we're going to be doing our regular show. Generally, it's what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses. And then, of course, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Our story today is going to be Made to Sing. You're going to want to hear that story. You're not going to want to miss it. And then, of course, later on in our show, we're going to be having our own Sean LaFave. And Sean and I will be talking about healthcare on the Geared for Wellness Corner. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the news. And as I mentioned to you yesterday, we've kind of changed that format a little bit. We used to do the 10 top items in the news, and we'd encapsulate it and then get to a little bit more in depth. Well, you know what? We've had a number of responses, and people said, you know what? Forget about the encapsulation. Just give us the news. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And here at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's only down to 53 degrees, and we're looking out. It's kind of cloudy outside, getting ready to rain. So for the next couple of days, we should get some liquid sunshine. That's how we refer to it here in Southern California. Well, in the news on the top, the White House suggests that Putin was involved in the United States hacking. The Obama administration suggested today that Russian President Vladimir Putin personally authorized the hacking of Democratic officials' email accounts in the run-up to the presidential election and said it was fact that such actions helped Donald Trump's campaign. The White House also assailed Trump himself, saying that he must have known of Russia's interference. No proof was offered for any of the accusations, the latest to unsettle America's uneasy transition from 8 years under Democratic President Barack Obama to the new Republican administration led by Trump. The claims of Russian meddling in the election also have heightened already debilitating tensions between Washington and Moscow over Syria, Ukraine, and a host of other disagreements. Only Russia's senior-most officials could have authorized these activities, White House spokesman Josh Earnest said, repeating the words from the October U.S. intelligence assessment. Obama's deputy national security advisor, Ben Rhodes, connected the dots further, saying it was Putin who was responsible for the Russian government's actions. I don't think things happen in the Russian government of this consequence without Vladimir Putin knowing about it, Rhodes said on MSNBC. The explosive accusations paints Putin, the leader of perhaps the nation's greatest geopolitical foe, as having directly undermined U.S. democracy. U.S. officials have not contended, however, that Trump would have been defeated by Hillary Clinton on November the 8th, if not for Russia's assistance, nor has there been any indication of tampering with the vote counting. The Kremlin flatly rejected the claim of Putin's involvement, with Putin spokesman Dmitry Peskov dismissing it today as laughable nonsense. The dispute over Russia's role is fueling on increasing public spat between Obama's White House and Trump's team that is threatening to spoil the delicate truce that Obama and Trump have forged since the election day. Well, looks like the bad guys are coming out, right? Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, Trump lags predecessors on the diversity as he picks his cabinet. You know what? As Donald Trump fills out his cabinet, it's looking less like America's population and more like the world Trump has always orbited: wealthy, white, male-dominated, and business-minded. Trump, who railed against what he hailed politically correct crap during his no-holds-barred presidential campaign, is on track to create the least diverse cabinet in a quarter century. The uniformity is particularly striking in the president-elect's picks for the highest-profile cabinet and White House jobs. While he has selected a handful of women and minorities for lower-profile posts, his choices for the Big Four cabinet slots, Treasury, State, Defense, and Justice, and his top White House jobs, Chief of Staff, National Security Advisor, and Senior Advisor, are all white men. So, 2 will white men run the Departments of Commerce, Energy, Homeland Security, and Health and Human Services, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency? Should Trump be able to or unable to complete his term as president, the top 8 people in the line of succession are white men from the cabinet and Congress. The number could grow to 12 if he picks a white man for Agricultural Secretary. North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp, a Democrat, is the only woman believed to be in the mix. Unlike recent predecessors in both parties, Trump so far has no Hispanics in the most prominent positions. Based on the current top contenders for remaining jobs, it appears unlikely he'll have a Hispanic in his cabinet or in any top White House job. Boy, this is starting to sound just a little weird, don't you think? Yeah. Well, here's some good news for you. Dylan Roof is convicted of all counts in the church slaughter. Dylan Roof was convicted today in the chilling slaughter of 9 black church members who had welcomed him to their Bible study, a devastating crime in the country that was already deeply embroiled in racial tension. The same federal jury that found Roof guilty of all 33 counts will reconvene next month to hear more testimony and weigh whether to sentence him to death. As the verdict was read, Roof just stared ahead, much as he did the entire trial. Family members of victims held hands and squeezed one another's arms. Excuse me. One woman nodded her head every time the clerk said, "Guilty." Yeah. You know what? That's the way it ought to be. Roof, 22, told the FBI agents that, hang on a second, I got to get some water. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, Roof, who's 22 years old, told FBI agents that he wanted to bring back segregation or perhaps start a race war with the slayings. Instead, the single biggest change to emerge from the June 17, 2015 killings was the removal of the Confederate flag from the Church South Carolina State House, where it had flown for 50 years over the Capitol or on the grounds. Roof appeared with the flag in several photos in a racist manifesto. You know what? We just got to get rid of this kind of prejudice in this country, or this country just doesn't deserve the reputation that we all would like it to have. Well, bloodied and demoralized Syrians evacuate Aleppo, weeping, hobbling on crutches, or dragging suitcases. Hundreds of survivors of a devastating government bombardment and siege left the last sliver of opposition, held Aleppo of the rebellion's most important stronghold, and was a watershed moment in Syria's 5-year-old civil war. For the opposition, it was a humiliating defeat. A smiling President Bashar Assad called it a historic event comparable to the birth of Christ and the revelation of the Quran. Man, this guy is sick. If ever there was a war criminal, gotta be him. And maybe Putin, too. Anyway, a UN official described it as a black chapter in the history of international relations. Traumatized residents filtered out of green government buses on a chilly day through Aleppo's streets, lined with flattened buildings. Years of resistance were stamped out in a relentless campaign over the past month that saw hospitals bombed, bodies left unburied, and civilians blown apart by shells as they fled for safety. If there was ever a Holocaust in our time, this certainly is it. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the plunging temperatures. Powerful winds reach the northeast of the United States. I'll tell you all about that right after we come back. It's going to, at some point, we got to start listening to people about global warming.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know what? Plunging temperatures, powerful winds reached the northeast of the United States. Plunging temperatures and gusty winds generally made their way today into the northeastern United States, the next victim of the path of dangerously cold temperatures to hit the country. A strong Arctic cold front moved across the region, and temperatures falling throughout the day, and commuters, schools, and outdoor workers are slowing down, girding up, and taking precautions. Vermont public safety officials warned residents to limit their time outdoors at least through Friday, with dangerous wind chills of minus 35 degrees in the forecast. Some schools and government offices closed early in upstate New York ahead of lake effect snow expected to bring from 1 to 2 feet. In western Pennsylvania, lake effect snow bans were blamed for slick roads and poor visibility. 59 vehicles crashed in a snowy pileup and 3 people were hurt. The crash was one of 3 that shut down different stretches of Interstate 80. Blowing snow in Syracuse, New York slowed the morning commute on Interstate 81 to a crawl. It doesn't bother me as long as I go slow, commuter Don Coyer, who lives north of Syracuse, told Time Warner Cable News, but I wasn't driving, and she, a friend, said, "Nope, we're not doing this." Makes sense to me. Isn't it better to be safe than sorry? Yeah, I think so. Well, you know what? Global warming's footprints, or fingerprints, I should say, seen in 24 weird weather cases. A new scientific report finds man-made climate change played some role in 24 extreme weather events last year, but not in a few other weird weather instances around the world. An annual report released today by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration found climate change was a factor, however, small or large, in 24 of the 30 strange weather events. They include 11 cases of high heat, as well as an unusual winter sunshine in the United Kingdom, Alaskan wildfires, and odd sunny day flooding in Miami. The study documented climate change goosed weather in Alaska, Washington State, the southeastern United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, China, Japan, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, the western North Pacific cyclone region, India, Pakistan, Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa. Well, it has to be measurable. It has to be detectable. There has to be evidence for it, and that's what these papers do, said the NOAA scientist Stephanie Herring, co-editor of the report. In 6 cases, including cold snaps in the United States and downpours in Nigeria and India, the scientists could not detect climate change's effects. Other scientists, though, disputed that finding for the cold snap that hit the Northeast. Herring heightened the Miami flooding in September 2015 because of rising sea levels. The sinking land, extremely high tides flooded the streets with 22 inches of water. This is just very remarkable because truly not a cloud in the sky, and these types of tidal nuances, floodings, events are clearly becoming more frequent, she said. The report also found an increase in tropical cyclone activity and strength in the Western Pacific can be blamed partly on climate change and partly on El Nino, the now gone natural weather phenomenon, but similar storm strengthening hasn't increased noticeably around the United States yet, said study co-editor Martin Horling, a NOAA scientist. Well, you know what? Some of these things, I'm going to tell you, doesn't it just make more sense? If climate change is a hoax, it's not there, wouldn't the things that they're suggesting we do in order to protect us from climate change still make our planet a more comfortable, more beautiful place to live? Doesn't that just make sense? Don't you want to have a good environment to live in? Well, you know what? It's a simple thing. So it's a no-lose situation. If climate change doesn't exist, we still have a better environment to live in. If it does exist, we fix the problem. It seems to me that that's exactly what we ought to be looking at. Well, let's move on. Facebook gets serious about fighting fake news. Yeah. Boy, and I can tell you, there is a lot of it. Facebook is taking new measures to curb the spread of fake news on its huge and influential social network. It'll focus on the worst of the worst offenders and partner with outside fact checkers and news organizations to sort honest news reports from made-up stories that play to people's passions and preconceived notions. The social network will make it easier for users to report fake news when they see it, which they'll be able to do in about 2 steps, not 3. If enough people report a story as fake, Facebook will pass it to third-party fact-checking organizations that are part of the nonprofit Pointer Institute's International Fact-Checking Network. 5 fact-checking and news organizations are working with Facebook on this: ABC News, the Associated Press, FactCheck.org, PolitiFact, and Snopes. Facebook says this group is likely to expand. Well, I would certainly hope so. Anyway, do not go away because we're getting ready to take one more short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS Loses. And our first case today is a business deduction for family medical expenses. Yeah, you heard me right. So stay tuned. When we come back, I'll tell you all about it.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, not so sunny. It's kind of cloudy. The rain's starting to not come down yet, but it's getting ready. We're supposed to have rain today and tomorrow. Big storm coming in, so we'll see what happens with that. You know what? I want you to know, though, if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, 25 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, get ready for this. It's 8 degrees and it's partly cloudy. So, you know what? To get any raindrops, it's going to be snow. That's for sure. Well, you know what? Let's talk about a more pleasant subject, and that is the IRS loses. Well, you know what? A business deduction for a family medical expenses are going to be absolutely allowed. Here's the thing. Ralph Fram was a self-employed, he was self-employed as an owner of a business with one employee, and that employee, well, that was his wife. He had to adopt an employee benefit plan providing medical insurance coverage for its employees and their families, including, of course, him as the spouse of an employee. That was his wife. So here's the IRS's objection to it. The business could deduct only the part of the premiums covering his wife's medical expenses and not his. So he went to court. This is what the judge said. Such medical coverage is a common business expense and is deductible by self-employeds the same way that it is by other businesses. So here's the point. Greater tax benefits, such as reduced self-employment tax, may result from a business expense deduction for medical insurance than from the normal deduction for it. So just keep that in mind. Because you normally are going to wind up saving all the self-employment tax and everything else. It's a bottom line reduction from your tax. Try this one on for size. The IRS loss penalties lifted on the misvaluation of stock. You know what? When Hotels.com paid stock compensation to key employees, it put a high value on their shares for a large deduction. Now, while the employees reported a lower value, reducing their taxable income. A court upheld the lower value, and the IRS imposed penalties on Hotels.com for overvaluing the stock and underpaying tax as a result. So they went to court. That's what the judge said. The fact that there was a dispute with the employees over the valuation did not mean that the company's valuation was unreasonable. It had followed the advice of outside experts when it filed its return, and failure to file an amended return cannot support a negligence penalty. So, yep, penalties are lifted. Should be. That's the way it should be. You know what? The IRS lost another case. Let me tell you about it. Tax collection actions after bankruptcy are void. Here's the deal. A company went broke owing trust fund employment taxes and declared bankruptcy. Now, its owner declared personal bankruptcy. The IRS then sent her a Form 2751. That's Proposed Assessment of Trust Fund Recovery Penalty, which she signed, acknowledging that she owed the tax. Now, using this, the IRS started collection and levy actions against her. She protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. A declaration of bankruptcy automatically stays all IRS collection actions, and the fact that the IRS sent a form violated the stay. Moreover, the violation means that the form is void. The IRS can never act on it, rather than merely voidable or suspended during the bankruptcy. They are just out of luck. Can't do it again. And that's what they get for jumping the gun and trying to usurp the authority of the United States government. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. It's very much like the Twilight Zone. Well, you know what? These are not tax court cases, but if you know what the IRS is doing and planning and what they're taking actions against, then you can, with that knowledge, you can generally always help yourself or keep yourself out of trouble anyway, just by knowing where they're headed and the way they're doing things. And that's what we're talking about here with Inside the IRS. First of all, you ever think about getting audited by mail? Well, probably not. In recent years, the IRS has increased its audit coverage of individual taxpayers by conducting what they call correspondence audits. Now, correspondence audits numbered almost 1 million last year, bringing in an average of $7,800 in additional tax per person. Now, what if, say, you are selected for a correspondence audit and you know that your tax return includes very gray areas having to do with income, but the IRS says that it only wants to examine your medical expenses? Here's your best approach. Consider not responding at all, in which case the IRS might simply disallow the medical expenses, leaving your income unscrutinized. But you need to be careful. You should not begin any correspondence that may lead to a question about whether all of your income was reported. Speak to a qualified tax advisor before you do anything in that light. Now, here's another one for you. The IRS tries to save money by cutting back on taxpayer service assistance. Yeah, you know what? Like the tax law isn't convoluted enough, right? Now, the IRS has figured out that it costs an average of $28.73 to help each taxpayer who shows up in person at a local office to have a question answered. Helping the same person via the web contact actually costs 13 cents. And helping a taxpayer using the automated toll-free telephone number costs 71 cents. Now, recently, the IRS tried to close down 68 taxpayer assistance centers because of the high costs that were involved. Now, a congressional backlash stopped the closings, and what may work to save the IRS money in the near future? Well, the IRS is considering the development of an authentication system, much like the banks use today, that would allow taxpayers to perform account-related services by logging onto its website. Well, they tried it a little bit and ran up into a problem. You've heard about the millions of identity theft issues that took place. Well, that was the IRS trying to get past this problem, trying to save them a buck, not so much you one. So, keep that in mind as you're doing things. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we should be with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. We'll be with Sean after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in, I was going to say sunny Southern California, but it looks like we're waiting for a storm to hit us here. Should be any time now start raining, and then it's going to rain through tomorrow. So we refer to that in California as liquid sunshine because it's still bright outside. So don't let that shock you too much. But if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Cleveland, Ohio, It's 14 degrees and it's overcast. But you know what? If you're looking for sunshine and you want to go sunbathing, Wichita, Kansas is the place. It's 31 degrees and it's overcast. I'll bet you that my good buddy Sean LaFave is outside in his swimming trunks, just soaking up all those rays out there. Is that how it's going right now, Sean?
Pretty much walking around in my Speedo out here.
No big deal.
Enjoying the beautiful weather.
Anyway, so listen, you forgot that you had a show today, didn't you?
No, I didn't actually forget. I just had a delayed response in dialing in. That's all. I was actually looking up something online before the show started, and I saw my phone. I'm like, well, I got a couple more minutes before I call in, and then all of a sudden I looked down, and those couple minutes have turned into 5. So we're good. We're here.
So you know what? Yeah, you know what? And it's good. I've been looking forward to it since Tuesday. The time that we spend with you is just a joy.
Yeah, I love it. The highlight of my week. I get it twice, every Tuesday, every Thursday.
Oh, that's great. So listen, what do you want to talk about today?
But you know what? You sent me a couple of fantastic articles, and I think we can definitely start off with those.
Okay.
We'll start off with the one that I just absolutely love talking about because, well, I was right from the very beginning.
Hey, don't you just hate it when you're right?
Yeah, I hate being right. So it's ridiculous. It's just once in a while I like to do something wrong. But of course, right now the United States taxpayers are going to be forking over nearly $10 billion more next year to cover double-digit premium hikes.
Oh yeah,
or Obamacare. And for as long as people talk about it, I will always refer to it as Obamacare, not as the Affordable Care Act, because it is not affordable at all.
That's for sure.
And so that's just a silly name. That name doesn't even belong anywhere in this act. But it's something that a lot of us saw coming. A lot of people were opposed to this, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure if there was an ulterior reasoning behind this or what. But Barack Obama just wanted to push this through and make it his legacy, and well, he got exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say the good news is it's going to be his legacy, but it's not going to be a good one.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. So, the one thing that was supposed to be his crowning achievement is going to be turned into, it's going to be gone, hopefully in the next year or so.
I wonder how long.
I don't know how long it takes to repeal something like that.
Well, to repeal it doesn't take so long, but I don't think you can just repeal it. We got to repeal it and replace it, and I think it has to take place simultaneously because you can't.
Right.
But you just simply can't put millions and millions of people out on the street with no insurance coverage. So, my guess, if I had to guess, I'm looking at how Trump is putting his cabinet together, and it's and forgetting about all the pundits and all the stuff about racism and male chauvinism and all the rest of this stuff. Truth is, looks like he's putting his cabinet together with really extremely talented business people. And if that's the case, I can't hardly believe that he hasn't already begun working on some kind of a transition for healthcare.
Well, I guarantee you they've already put a lot of time equity into making this happen. I have full confidence that there's already a replacement being developed.
Well, you know what? And the other thing too, Sean, one of the things that I find refreshing is that Donald Trump, even though like the rest of us are keep saying we want to get rid of Obamacare, recognizes that there are parts of it that are worth saving that you don't want to get rid of. When he was talking about covering kids to 26 on their parents' policies. Covering, pre-existing diseases and all these kinds of things. There are some good parts to it, but I think that what we need is a businessman to incorporate that into a logical system that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right, and there's certainly there are things about Obamacare that are worthwhile and worth keeping, and hopefully those will get rolled over into whatever the new plan is. But it's just that the fact is it's become a nightmare. Right now the the monthly subsidy is going to increase by 26%, and that's huge, 26%.
Oh, yeah.
That's a massive increase in subsidies going out to this thing. And, just to...
Yeah, but think about this, though, Sean. If the monthly subsidy goes up 26% and Obamacare goes up 100%,
yeah,
what does that do to the consumer?
Oh yeah, the premiums are skyrocketing.
Yeah,
they're absolutely skyrocketing.
Yeah,
and it's not affordable right now. It is by far cheaper to pay the penalty tax than it is to get the insurance for a lot of people, for most people.
Yeah, and you would think. I mean, and I'm just thinking out loud, and you probably know more about this than I do, but you would think when you think about the population of the United States, if you required everyone to be insured, if everybody was paying insurance premiums should actually go down, not up. You shouldn't really have to subsidize them. If everybody is in the pool here, insurance companies, then it becomes a supply and demand and a capitalization profit and loss issue. Right. And insurance companies, if you get rid of these state line barriers, start competing, it ought to hold those costs down. And if we can couple with that, and I know I'm getting a little long-winded, but I want to give you something to talk about. If we can couple with that, new tort law that gets rid of this litigation or puts ceilings on litigation for malpractice and errors and omissions insurances, I mean, gosh, think about it. An obstetrician who delivers babies has, before they can even get into the hospital and deliver their first baby, they've got to have a premium for liability insurance, and it costs them $250,000 a year. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. The premiums for liability insurance are through the roof for medical doctors.
If physicians and hospitals didn't have to pay these exorbitant costs, these huge costs, maybe the cost of decent health care would actually come down.
Yeah, and that's part of it, certainly, is, that's all going to be rolled back into the cost that the consumer pays for receiving health care. The other problem is, yeah, you're right. This was supposed to work kind of like those group medical plans, that they would come into your business, and as long as everybody at work signed up, then it was cheaper overall.
Half the people don't get sick, they don't use it. Their money goes to subsidize the ones that do get sick.
Right, and that's exactly what's happened here. Is you have people like me that when I never go to the medical doctor for anything. Ever.
Yeah, all you need is burial insurance. Of course, you're going to be. So here's what I want. I told my wife, I told my kids, when I die, I want to be cremated, and I want to have my ashes dumped right over the IRS building in Washington D.C.
That's fair. I can understand that. I'm not sure where I want mine dumped. I got to figure out what I want to do with mine. But yeah, what we had happen, unfortunately, was all the sick people, so, well, gosh, I can keep insurance now. So they all went and got insurance. People with pre-existing conditions finally went, wow, I can get it insured. And those are expensive. There's a reason why insurance companies didn't insure people with pre-existing conditions, because it's a losing game. I mean, you can't win when someone comes up to you and they say, I've got whatever the case might be, cancer or diabetes or whatever, and they know that it's going to cost so much per month for this person's care. Nobody can afford those premiums. When the cost of care is going to be through the roof already for this person. So that's why so you get these people with pre-existing conditions, people who are just generally unhealthy. What you also got was a lot of people showed up. They know that they believed that they needed to go to the doctor, need to get a checkup or get something taken care of, whatever the case might be. So they go sign up for Obamacare. They go get all their stuff done. They get a clean bill of health when they're done, and then they would cancel the insurance. And so you have this real massive abuse of the system. And of course, it was forced on people. And anytime that the demand goes up for something, because demand is going to go up. When you tell people, look, you do this, or we're going to tax you, well, people are going to go sign up. And so the demand was increased, but the supply wasn't increased. And it's just simple economics at that point. Eventually, something's going to give, and that's a supply and demand intersection is going to shift over and prices are going to go up. But yeah, you're right. If everybody had signed up, if all the young, healthy people signed up, it would have been great. But this is a free market system, and I don't know of any other industry in the country where we penalize people for not consuming a good or service.
Well,
if you get back when you buy something.
Yeah, if you think about it, because there are a number of places for us to point the finger at fault here. Certainly, when we talk about the kind of society we have, and we have a litigious society here in the United States, and it's all because attorneys have made it financially rewarding for us to sue doctors who lose a case or make a mistake or something like that. And so what winds up happening is I really do believe that the legal profession is behind an awful lot of the costs that go on in the medical profession today. Lawyers have made these laws creating these gigantic damages so that they can get rich. And the truth is, there are areas, even though I believe in free enterprise, there are areas where I think we have to put in limits, the limitations to what's going on, reasonable limits for Pete's sake.
Yeah. When someone is awarded, I understand people, they have, limbs that are operated on that shouldn't have been operated on.
Yeah.
In fact, I just had a conversation with someone the other day that's a friend of his went in for I believe it was a knee surgery, and the doctor did the surgery on the wrong knee. And I was like, I said, don't they? The nurses that I talk to, when they do prep, they take a big black magic marker and they put a big X and do not touch and things like that. And he goes, yep, when I had my surgery, that's exactly what I did. He had shoulder surgery, and he took a black magic marker and wrote all over his shoulder, don't touch this shoulder.
Yeah.
And, so things like that are going to happen. And certainly there's a compensation value that needs to go along with it. But you're right. When someone gets millions and millions of dollars for a mistake,
an honest mistake.
An honest mistake.
I'm not talking about a surgeon who was drunk when he got his scalpel in his hand and started cutting on you. I'm talking about a surgeon who's trying to save your life and automatically hits an artery or something and you die, or creates maybe some other kind of catastrophic problem. Well, you know what? He didn't do it purposely, for gosh sakes. You know what?
Right, and it's another aspect of our society that the vast majority of people who go in for whatever surgery they're getting, they've done something to get themselves to that point.
Yeah.
Even if it's a knee replacement, whether it's I look at all these young people, these teenagers and people in their early 20s walking around with knee braces on because they're trying all these extreme sports. And it's like, the human body is not designed to do some of these things that people are making it do.
Or the people that are sculpting their bodies because they're too damn lazy to exercise.
I remember reading an article about a woman who, and I can't remember what the doctor was. He wasn't even a surgeon. When it comes to liposuction, almost anybody can do liposuction as long as you have you could be a general practitioner who's never done surgery on a person ever before. And, of course, the couple goes in, she gets her liposuction done. Well, it ends up killing her. I don't know if he cut a vein or what, but she bled out right there on the table.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. And I'm sure the husband, wants to sue, and I'm sure he wants to be compensated. But the fact is, if she's getting liposuction, she probably did something in her life to get her to the point where she had
Sean, there has got to be a reason that they called that or referred to that as elective surgery.
Exactly. It's an elective surgery because there are other options available. Everything from, people getting their stomachs, banded to liposuction to all these different things. There are other options available, just that most people aren't patient. And insurance will pay for some surgeries, but they won't pay for things like, a fitness program that a personal coach and a dietitian, they won't pay for those things. They're cheaper, but they'll pay for surgeries. And so we really kind of put ourselves as a culture, as a society in this position where we become so dependent on these doctors for all these things. And then when the doctor makes a mistake and something happens, what we want to do is sue the doctor.
You know what the problem is, at least I think what the problem is, people kind of make a mistake. They want their doctors most doctors want to think of themselves as gods, but people have to remember that they're not. These are human beings that have trained and they make mistakes. And the truth is, if I've got some human being that's got my skull open and he's operating on my brain, I don't want him to think he's a plumber. I want him to think he's God. I want him to do as good a job as he can do, right? But you know what?
That is true.
If he's trying to save my life, I don't want to ruin his.
Right. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. We've got to put a cap, and that's one of the problems with these rising insurance rates is that we are a litigious society, and nobody wants to accept responsibility for the choices that they've made. So we want another drug to fix it. Like that article you sent me on the new opioids, and we'll get on that one here.
Oh yeah.
Instead of admitting that we have a problem, the other article you sent me for those listening is of course about the opioid addiction problem that we have in our country, and one of the ways they're trying to fix that is this new generation of opioids that they're actually making them more difficult to abuse them. Like they're making them more difficult to crush, and they're making them more difficult to dissolve into a liquid to be injected or whatever the case might be. And the fact of the matter is, the very last line of that article states that, someone who wants to abuse, they're going to find a way to abuse these drugs, period.
Sure.
You might make it more difficult, but they're going to find a way. And so, we've created this perpetual motion machine, if you will, of medicine, that instead of us stopping and going, okay, let's take some responsibility for our own actions, and maybe make some changes. Instead, we're just trying to come up with a newer, better generation drug, a newer, better generation surgery, instead of, letting people live with the consequences of their own actions or letting them change their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that all of these people that are addicted to opioids, that there wasn't some other solution. That there wasn't a way out of this. I mean, I've known people who were addicted to this stuff, and they got on it because of a temporary fix. Well, there's got to be a way around it. I know that if I get hit by a truck, well, certainly, I give me some painkillers.
Hell yes! Are you kidding?
I would love that. I don't want to suffer in pain, but the body,
there's a difference between voluntary addiction and pain management.
Right. I was given, like I said, we talked about this before. I was given Dilaudid when I was in the hospital, but I don't want to touch the stuff outside of the hospital.
Scares you. Doesn't just the thought of it scare you? I know when I've been in the hospital. I've had everything removed that they can remove without killing me. I've had all the shots, and when I've been in there, they put me on this modality where they actually changed the opioids they had me on, so I wouldn't get addicted to one particular one or another. But the truth is, when you go into the hospital, if you're so sensitive to that kind of stuff, and I mean, I've never been a druggie or any of those kinds of things, but it's just the thought of it scares you to death. I know when I went and had my teeth worked on, and they gave me these, I don't know what that was, codeine and something or other, and or Norco, I forget what it was. Anyhow, I wouldn't take it. I was afraid to take it. You know what? It's not like I was going to abuse it, but I go the other way. I've got a really high tolerance for pain, and as long as I do, I'm not going to take that stuff because I'm just not going to take a chance.
And it's funny. Pain is one of those things that that's another. I talk about. We've lifestyled ourselves into a lot of these positions that we were in with our medical choices. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's a lot of people out there will go, you didn't choose this, you didn't choose that, or, whatever the case might be. No one chooses to be in pain, but pain is another one of those things in life that if you understand the mechanism of pain and how it works, you can actually learn to control pain, and you can actually learn to operate and actually use pain for your benefit.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I had a friend of mine when I was in college. I was living in Colorado Springs. This guy was a psychologist, and one of the things that he did is he worked with people who were boxers, and he did this. I don't know if it was hypnotism or I think it was a form of hypnotism, which was basically just kind of resetting the mindset is what he did. Mm-hmm. But he would train these people to most of the time, like if somebody gets hurt, they're in pain. The initial response for most people is when somebody punches you, or you overcome with pain somehow, is to kind of cringe or shrink away or pull back, or you want to remove yourself from the pain. Well, he mentally conditioned these people that when they got hit, even someone punching them in the face, that the mindset was move forward into it. And so you become more aggressive. You become a better fighter. You actually use the pain to make yourself become more aggressive and go after your opponent. And that's something obviously that not everybody, needs to learn how to take a punch in the face and go after someone else. But the point there is that we can use pain for our benefit, and to mask pain. Pain is one of those things that we as a society have learned to suppress as much as possible. You got a headache, take a pain pill. You take an Advil or whatever the case. A little bit of whatever the pain might be. We want to suppress that pain, but pain is a signal. It's like the check engine light on your car, or whatever, the low oil pressure light, whatever. It's some sort of signal that your body's telling you something, and instead of when the light comes on the dashboard, instead of sticking a piece of tape over it so you can't see it anymore, you might want to figure out what's the cause here.
That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. It's like the check engine light. I love that.
Yeah, and so thanks. And I love using car analogies because most people understand cars. I use them for even insurance. That's the thing with like this whole insurance, like I was even talking about, using that, a car analogy with that. With the skyrocketing rates of car insurance, what we don't realize is insurance is there for catastrophic. Just like if I'm driving my car and I get in a car accident, my insurance is going to pay to get it fixed. But it's not going to pay for new tires, and it's not going to pay for new brakes, and it's not going to pay for oil changes and all the things that I need to do, windshield wiper fluid, because those are daily maintenance things that keep my car running well. And people are trying to use this new insurance as a way to, for preventive care, for a way of keeping themselves healthy, and not realizing, that you only use this when you have a catastrophic event.
That's true, and you know what? And it's not going to pay for this next commercial message either that we're going to take. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. This is actually really interesting. We're going to continue this conversation with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time, currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in not so sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, 43 degrees and clear. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 45 degrees and clear. And you know what? If you're anywhere within my voice and you're listening to my show, boy, are you in for a treat, because we've got our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner here. We're talking about insurance, we're talking about premiums, we're talking about money, we're talking about you. Sean, you got the microphone, buddy.
All right. So, yeah, we were talking about the insurance thing. And of course, the problem, again, going back to what we were originally talking about with the increase in the Obamacare prices, is you have people who can't afford to go out and buy a bottle of, not that I'm saying that I even like this stuff, but let's say you think that you need NyQuil, or you got a chest cold, or, whatever. You want some over-the-counter drug. Well, you can't even afford the $10 for that. So they go to their doctor, and of course now they got to pay for a doctor visit. The doctor writes them a prescription. That all gets paid for. And like I said, people who should be doing stuff to take care of themselves naturally for simple things like the sniffles and the colds and whatever else are now going to their medical doctor because they're like, well, I've got insurance, I might as well use it. Why pay $10 out of pocket when my insurance will pay $150 for my doctor's visit and my prescription? And so yeah, the whole car analogy is something that I love using because most people get it. No matter what kind of car insurance you have, it's never going to pay for your oil change. So it just doesn't work that way,
Yeah, if you pay enough for your car, it includes the oil change.
Yeah, there are some dealerships that give you free oil changes, but I've never owned one of those cars.
No, they're not. Sean, let me just make you feel more comfortable. They're not free. You pay for it up front.
Right. That's a good point. So we've created this system, and the thing with the whole opioids, that one really kills me because, what they're doing is they're trying to produce these new painkillers that are, something like the original ones. They work very similar. They're still addictive, but they actually tag a name onto them that makes it sound like they're not as addictive. I can't remember
probably less abusive, right?
Yeah, they're called abuse deterrent formulations. That's what they call them. And so, when people hear that, they go, oh, well, if they're abuse deterrent, they must not be as addictive. Well, the problem is they are still as addictive. It's just that, like I was saying, it makes them harder to crush because you can take a painkiller, you can take that pill, and it's going to work. If you crush it up and you snort it, it actually works more effectively. So the people who are addicted to them, who are using them for basically a high, well, now instead of just taking the pill orally, they're crushing them and snorting them. And I've known people who have injected them. I've known people who have actually taken them and crushed them and then dissolved them into water and then put them in some sort of it's not a needle syringe, but it's just a plastic syringe, like an enema kind of thing. And they would actually inject it anally into their body, because you absorb through your colon, you absorb even faster than snorting it into your nose. And so,
that could be a real pain in the ass. You know that?
Yeah, it definitely can. Yeah, no kidding. Depends on the size of your syringe, but, and who's administering this to you too. I always wonder that, like, who has the job of, hey, maybe I need my painkillers today. But it's an interesting dynamic that, like the line in this article says, that when people want to abuse something, they're going to find a way to abuse it. You can make it abuse deterrent, but that doesn't mean it's abuse proof, and that's the problem that we have, and it goes back to this whole mindset that we've created. And I don't really want to get into politics a whole lot, but it's like what's going on in New York City with Mayor de Blasio, creating safe spaces for people who are distraught over the election results. It's like, come on, people, grow up. Your candidate lost. You don't get a trophy. It's not the way it works. If you want to cry, go home and cry. You have a pillow on your bed. You can use that. That's fine. But we don't need government-sanctioned safe spaces for government employees. Now they're spending tax dollars for these little crybabies to go feel like they're going to be safe, and they go to their little safe spaces. And I'm thinking, what happened to our society that we just, we need a little bit more John Wayne in our society is what we need.
Yeah.
And a whole lot less Woody Allen, Yeah. But that mentality carries over into every aspect of our lives, including something as complex as pain management. If I just learn to understand that pain has a purpose and that I address the reason for the pain, I can, like you said, you don't even take the stuff. I don't take the stuff. You give me drugs, I'm not going to take them. I can deal with pain, and I think that pain, like you said, you said that I have a high tolerance for pain, which I'm the same way too. I can take a lot of pain, and pain is fine. It doesn't bother me at all because I've learned to control pain and not let pain control me. The same thing works with fear. Like these people who are scared of Donald Trump. It's like he's just a man.
Yeah,
and you may not agree with him, but he's just a man. He's not Stalin. He's not going to kill 30 or 40, 50 million people. And he's just a guy who got elected. You don't need to be afraid. But we've come to a point where we let fear control us instead of us controlling fear. And that's another thing that in my life that I've learned to control. I had someone ask me this just recently. They said, "Aren't you afraid of things?" And I said, "Of course I'm afraid of things, but I don't let that fear control my decisions that I make." I might initially on a certain instant have a fight or flight response, but once that's over, I don't let that perpetually control the decisions that I make just because I'm afraid of an outcome. Fear, people who are afraid to make decisions because they're afraid they're going to make the wrong decision are basically not making any decisions, and so they're not even going to make the right decision.
Well, yeah, actually, the wrong decision is making no decision.
Right, exactly. They are making the wrong decision by not making any decision at all, and so this fear-based mentality that we have in our culture has permeated everything. It's not just medicine; it's politics and it's schools and on and on and on. And once we realize, there are things in our life that we just have to deal with, and that's okay, whether it's pain or fear or loss or whatever. There was a gal 2 days ago here in the Wichita area. The article said that it was a gal that was killed in a 2-car accident. Her car veered across the center line, and she drove head on into an 18-wheeler. And of course, my first thought was, I was a young gal. She's 21 years old. She was probably texting, but I actually know someone personally who knows her personally, and said that no, actually she committed suicide, and which is quite a hell of a way to commit suicide. You not only are you dead, but now you've traumatized the life of this poor truck driver, and and all the people that she's left behind, and on and on. It was just a crazy situation. And I don't know what was going on, but her boyfriend's brother had just committed suicide 2 days prior to that.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, I'm thinking, man, what a bad day to be this guy. Like you lose your brother, and 2 days later, your girlfriend commits suicide. Like, geez, what is going on here? But people who, and I talk to people all the time who, maybe they've been sick for so long, or their life seems so hopeless that they want to commit suicide, that they want a way out. And what they want to do is they want to end the pain.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you know what? You're just going to create more pain, and you're going to take your pain and you're going to project it onto other people, a whole lot of other people, by making this decision. When in reality, what you can do is you can learn to understand why you're dealing with this pain, who you are as a person and how you can overcome this and keep pressing forward and eventually overcome whatever it is that's making you wish that you weren't alive anymore. Because there's always hope. It's just sometimes we don't see it. And the people who don't see hope, those are the ones that end up killing themselves.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of it goes back to, we're back to drugs. Instead of taking responsibility for, our life situation, my best friend here in Wichita, he's a dentist. 6 years ago, his sister committed suicide, and she was one of the most beautiful people you could have ever hoped to meet. She was physically beautiful. She was internally beautiful. Mentally, emotionally, she was a wonderful person. She had the most beautiful smile, and that's the one thing that when we went to her kind of, we called it a going away, because she was actually going to be moving to Hawaii, and they had scheduled a going away party for her. Well, they went ahead and held the going away party for her as a, kind of a memorial, and everyone said the same thing. When they wrote in the book, something about her, they said she had the most beautiful smile. She had the most beautiful smile, and she really did. And she was married. She was a nurse. She was married to a doctor, and she was in her mid to late 30s. She was actually 37, and she wanted to have children. And he wasn't ready to have children, and they had a huge argument, and he literally the next day packed up his stuff and left her. And she, of course, did what a lot of people do who are depressed. She went into a massive depression. She had, obviously, to her, having children was huge. It was just something that she had wanted more than anything else. And at 37 years old, most women realize, hey, my biological clock is ticking. I don't have a lot of time left to have kids.
Yeah.
And now my husband just left. He packed literally on a Sunday, had a moving truck pull up to the house, packed all of his stuff, and was gone and never spoke to her again. And so now to her, she's probably thinking, my hopes, my dreams of having a family are gone. Now, most people still wouldn't commit suicide, but then she got on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, which is standard for a person like that when you're going the medical route. Well, the problem with these drugs is they make you not care. It's not even like I was talking about. Dilaudid is one of those drugs that also does this. It's a painkiller, but it doesn't actually reduce the pain or make the pain go away. It actually just makes you not care about the pain. And so you're happy. And so what happens is when people are on these antidepressants, these anti-anxiety meds, what those meds do, because I've talked to people who use them to quit smoking. I had a friend of mine, he goes, they gave me these antidepressants when I was trying to quit smoking. And he goes, what it does is, he goes, you don't care. He goes, you don't care that you don't have a cigarette. You know you want one, you just don't care. So you don't go out and get one. And he goes, everything. He goes, stuff that used to drive me crazy. People cut me off in traffic. I would get road rage. He goes, people would cut me off. They would flip me off. Because I wouldn't even care. Didn't bother me anymore. And so what happens is you have a person like this beautiful, beautiful woman who has lost all hope, and now she doesn't care about the consequences of her actions. Because probably if she was in her right mind, she would say, you know what, committing suicide is not the right thing to do, because it's going to, my brother's going to miss me, my sister's going to miss me, my parents are going to be crushed. She has nieces and nephews, the whole bit, she's got a huge family that are all going to miss her. She knows that. But when you're on a medication that suppresses that ability to actually care about your consequences, then the logical solution is, I don't want to live like this anymore, so I can kill myself. And yeah, they'll probably be, some pain for my family members for a while. But mentally, when you don't have the ability to actually feel that, to empathize with that pain that you're going to be causing others, then suicide becomes the most logical option, and it's one that people act upon. That's why when people are on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds, there's actually an increase in suicide rate and homicide.
Well, but that's because and you hit the nail on the head. I think that what happens is when you take those kind of medications that alter your mindset, it's not that suicide is the logical option; it's the illogical option that you seem to believe in.
Yeah, it becomes logical to you. It's still not logical. It's not logical by world standards, by a person who's in the normal mind, but it feels like the logical thing to do because, if it's going to end my pain, I'm not going to have to live like this anymore. I'm not going to have to watch my dreams and hopes in life continue to be crushed before me, and so I'm done. I just check out and I don't have to deal with this. It's an instant solution to your problem.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate part is now you've created problems for a whole lot of other people around you. And so, when we get into this system, like I said about the opioids, people are going to find a way to abuse them. And same thing with the antidepressants, the anti-anxiety. People use those as party drugs, but when you're taking something that affects your ability to care.
What? Have you ever watched the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Oh yeah,
there was a scene in that movie where they were talking about he was at a party and he was talking to some people and they were asking what he thought about New York and he says, you know what, people around here are just crazy. And then when he left, this gal that was with him was telling him that the lady he was talking to was seeing a psychiatrist, and he says, oh my God, if I'd have known she was crazy, I'd have never said anything. And the lady says, well, no, she's seeing a psychiatrist, an analyst. She's not crazy. She just needs some help with her problems. Don't you have psychiatrists in Australia where he was from? And he says, no, we have in the outback. We have no need for Australia. She says, well, why is that? And she says, well, you know what? I tell my good buddy, and my good buddy tells everybody else in town, and then there's no more problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody knows about it. The problem's gone.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been saying for a long time is in this country, we've lost that sense of community. We are so disconnected from one another. It's, like you say, I should tell my buddy who tells his buddies, who tells their buddies, and all of a sudden, boom, it's problem solved.
Problem solved, taken care of. I wish they were all that easy, and I'm not trying to make light of people that have serious psychological problems. I mean, I know there are people, unfortunately, not everybody can handle the same kinds of disappointments and outlooks the same way. There's some people it just rolls off their shoulders and they just move on with life. I forget. I think it was Edward Kennedy that said of his brother Robert. He says, he was a guy that believed that he needed to change the things that needed changing and not try to change the things that he couldn't. And the truth, and that's not an exact quote, but the truth is if you've got no control over it, then don't worry about it.
Right, and that's the way it should be. In fact, Tony Robbins has he talks about that a lot. Is there's only two things you can do for a situation. You can either change the environment around you, you can change your situation, or you can change the way you look at it. Those are your only two options.
Yeah.
So if you can't change the environment, you can't change the situation you're in, well, then you're going to have to change the way you look at it, or you're just going to continue to be miserable. And it's a pretty simple. In fact, there's a country. You know what the perfect analogy.
Have you watched some of these high speed chases, high speed, low speed, whatever the hell they call these things? But these high speed chases, and you're saying is how somebody looks at it. Well, you know what? You've got 20 cop cars behind you. You got helicopters above you. There's no place for you to go. You're going to run out of gas. You're going to how things are going to wind up. What the heck are you doing? You might as well just stop and pull over because the end result is still going to be the same.
Well, the end result is going to be the same.
Sure.
And it's probably going to be worse the longer you drag it out. But if you know that if I pull over, they're going to arrest me, I'm going to drive that car as long as I can because even if it's for 5 more minutes, at least it's 5 more minutes of freedom. I'm doing my thing, and I would imagine that's the mentality of a person who's thinking, you know what, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll outrun these guys. I actually was in Kansas City, and I was standing on the sidewalk with my buddy. There was a bunch of people around. All of a sudden, there was a car that stopped in the intersection, and I kid you not, there was 8 or 10 people, mostly cops, but some of them were like armed security guards, that pulled out their guns and had their guns pointed at this guy's car. And me and my buddy are like, what is going on? Like, where did this come from? This guy was it was a high-speed chase, and he actually got away. He drove past the people with
okay,
the
no, don't say any more. That's the perfect cliffhanger for this commercial break. We're going to be right back with our own Sean LaFave and the guy that got away. He's going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's starting to go down a little bit. 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in not so sunny Southern California. It's on its way to 54 degrees. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, it's 48 degrees and overcast. If you're in Vienna, Austria, 34 degrees and partly cloudy. But I'll tell you what, we're talking to my good buddy Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner, and he's going to tell us about the guy that got away. Sean, you got the microphone.
He did get away, yeah. So like I said, you there's always that hope, and I guess it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is as long as you've got just a bit of hope left, you're going to keep pushing forward toward the goal. And this guy, I mean, he was surrounded by cops and armed guards. I don't know how they all knew he was, but it was like a SWAT team just dropped out of the sky, and boom, this guy had guns pointed. But nobody's going to shoot unless there's someone else is in danger.
Sure.
And so he just continued to drive away. And the next day, I actually ran into a police officer. I said, "Man, what was that deal over here down the street?" And he goes, "Oh man," he goes, "man, we chased that guy for like 50 miles." And he goes, "You know what? He got away." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." He goes, "Nope." He goes, he lost us somewhere. Like he actually, I think we were on the Missouri side of Kansas City, and he said he got over to Kansas and hit some side roads, and he goes, and we totally lost him. Like, I guess you got to be. So it can happen, where you're in these high speed chases and you get away. But even if you think you're not going to get away, it's still. You know what? It's a few more minutes of freedom, and you're living life on your own terms at that point. Because as soon as they put those cuffs on you, you're done living life on your terms. You're living. So I would guess that's what's going through their minds.
It's got to be. But it's got to be maybe a little bit different than Kansas. When you're in Los Angeles, you got half a dozen helicopters above you. You've got planes up there. You got 20 cop cars back behind you. You got 20 cop cars in front of you. You got everything going on. I'm not so sure how you get away.
Yeah, on that one, I don't think you're going to get away. You're just going to delay the inevitable. But you know what? It's what it is. You might as well have fun, because as soon as they put those cuffs on, you're done having fun.
Oh yeah,
it's game over. But and of course, this whole thing goes back to here's kind of what I was thinking about as I was even looking at the stuff about, the pain management drugs, the opioids, and they're trying to make them, less abusable, is really, it goes back to that whole mindset. And I actually just had a discussion with someone about this today, coincidentally, about you've heard of people talk about, giving positive affirmations. You get up in the morning, maybe you have something written down, and you read a positive affirmation, something about yourself. Maybe that, it's the reality of your situation is that's not who you are right now. That's not the conditions you're living in. Maybe it's someone who wants to lose 50 pounds, and they read an affirmation every morning to himself or herself that says, instead of being 175 pounds, I actually only weigh 125 pounds. You could say these things. I weigh 125 pounds. I'm fit. I'm lean. And I can run for miles, on and on. And even though you can't do those things right now, the thing is, you still do these positive affirmations, and what it boils down to is what we believe in our mind to be true. Our body finds a way to manifest that, and it sounds kind of new agey, it's kind of that whole Napoleon Hill thing, if you can think it, then you can think it into existence, sort of deal. But
think and grow rich.
Think and grow rich, yeah, exactly. You just think about it, and even athletes do this. They will actually sit down and mentally visualize themselves running a 100-meter dash or whatever it is that they're doing, and they've actually hooked athletes up to these whatever diodes are. They're called little sticky things that read electronic signals coming from the muscles, and as these athletes are picturing themselves doing whatever it is that this athlete does, the muscles that would normally be involved in that action are actually firing off signals. Even though the person's not running, they're just sitting still or maybe laying still, those muscles are still getting an electrical signal that says, this is what you do, this is what you do. And so that way, when they go out and actually do it, the body and mind connection has already been predetermined. And so they're going to run faster. They're going to do this instead of running that 100 yards in, 11 seconds. They're going to run it in 10.5 seconds instead, or whatever I don't know what the record is on something like that. But anyway, the point is, when we can picture something in our mind and make it a reality to us, we're much more able to actually reach that goal. And there was, this is the thing that kept coming to mind as I was reading the article about the opioids and how people get addicted to these pain medicines, and the need to get off of that is really a mindset change. And there was a psychologist here in the United States back in the late 1800s and even on into the 1900s, but in the late 1800s, his name is George Stratton, and he did an experiment where he produced a pair of glasses. And I think we've talked about this, but it's been probably a couple of years since I've mentioned this, but I think it really ties in with everything we've been talking about. He made a pair of refractive lenses that you could put these glasses on, and when you looked through them, what it did is it took everything that you saw and flipped it completely upside down. So when you put the glasses on, if you're sitting in the living room, you see the couches are on the ceiling, you see the ceiling fan is on the floor, on and on. Everything is completely upside down. And what his experiment was, he wanted to see how easily people could adapt to something that was very disorienting, right? And he found that within a very short time, people could learn to go through the motions of knowing that if someone goes to hand me something, that I need to reach up for it. But in my mind, because of the glasses, it looks like I need to reach down. I can easily go to the point where I reach up for it instead of reaching down for it. But there was an unexpected turnout of this, and what he found was that within, I think it was within 10 days, but it may have even been a shorter period, like 7 to 10 days or something like that. He would have people wear these for several days, and they wore them all day long to see how they would adapt to this. So what he found was the people would put the glasses on, and eventually, even with the glasses on, they would see things right side up. The brain would take the image because the brain knows that the couch isn't on the ceiling and the ceiling fan isn't on the floor. And so what I'm seeing is a lie. I'm seeing something that is not reality. It's not what my mind knows to be the truth. And so it took that image and it flipped it upside down. And so the body actually rewired itself to make what it was seeing fit the reality that the mind knew to be true. And of course, if they took the glasses off, because the brain had rewired itself, everything would go upside down. Now without the glasses, they're seeing everything upside down, and it would take a couple of days for the body to readjust because the body's going, okay, well, we just went through this. Why am I having to unwire what I just rewired? But the point was, what he discovered was that the mind is so powerful that if you tell it something enough, which obviously your whole life you live knowing that the lights are on the ceiling and the couches and the end tables are on the floor, but if all of a sudden I show you something that's exactly the opposite, I can't convince you that that's your new reality, that that's the truth. And so your brain will find a way to perceive this new reality in a way that is in line with what it considers to be true. And so I teach that. I've been teaching that concept for probably close to 10 years now. And I teach the people who are trying to overcome even chronic health conditions like hypothyroidism or diabetes or weight loss or whatever the case might be, is if you tell your body something enough, if I ask myself a question, my mind always wants to come up with an answer. And if I say, why can't I lose weight? Well, my answer in my mind, if I've beaten myself up long enough, might be because I'm a fat pig and I can't stop eating. Well, if that's your reality, and you get to a point where you start to lose weight and you actually don't eat the things you're supposed to, but you've told yourself so many times that you're a fat person who can't control what you eat, you will eventually sabotage yourself, because for most people, telling a lie is worse than being unhealthy. And so you can take these affirmations, and we know, in fact, it's been scientifically proven that the thoughts in our brains can actually lead to changes in our epigenetic structure and even things like inflammation at the cell level. That's been scientifically proven. It's not something that is some hocus pocus theory that some new age guy kind of came up with and it sounds really cool. It's actually been scientifically proven that the things that we think will affect our entire biology. And so if you now have this system, and we were talking about Obamacare, we're talking about all these painkillers that people are on, these antidepressants, if you tell yourself enough that I need these pain medicines, well, you're never going to overcome that addiction. I've said 1,000 times, if I've said it once, that I don't have an addictive personality. I don't get addicted to things easily. Matter of fact, and I hate to admit this because people look at me like, you're in the healthcare business, Sean. You shouldn't even do this once. But ever since I was 16 years old, and I'm going to be 48 soon, so we're talking, I've been doing this for over 30 years. Every once in a while, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, tops, I'll be out with friends and they smoke, and I'll say, hey, can I have a drag of your cigarette? And I'll have 2 drags of someone's cigarette, and it gives me a little bit of a buzz. I get that kind of rush from, the nicotine, and I'm happy. And it feels good. I like the taste of a cigarette, believe it or not. And I actually prefer the American spirits. They're organic. They're just tobacco. There's no chemical fillers and all that. And I tell people who smoke, you know what, if you're not going to quit smoking because everyone else in your life tells you to quit smoking, at least smoke American spirits. But I can take a drag of a cigarette and not crave it, ever. I don't need to go buy it for myself because I've told myself that I'm not addicted to this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
what? Yeah. I can relate to that because I'm not with cigarettes so much because I have no, I think I mentioned to you, I used to smoke 3 packs a day. At least I used to admit to 3 packs a day when I was a young man.
I don't know how physically, I've known people who smoke 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes. I don't know how you physically do it.
Oh, you know what? I was the manager of a big store, and I'd have 3 or 4 cigarettes burning at the same time in different ashtrays in different parts of the store. You'd light one up, and then pretty soon somebody'd call you, so you'd leave it there in the ashtray and move off to some other place, and that's how it happens. But basically, what happened was, I quit smoking, and it was easy for me to quit smoking for some reason. I set fire to my car. Actually, I didn't set fire to my car. I threw a cigarette butt out of my car, and it came back in the back window, and that set fire to my car. And that was when I quit smoking. Anyway,
the physical forces of nature and wind set fire to your car.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, but I do enjoy an occasional cigar. I might have maybe 2 or 3 a year. And I'll enjoy smoking an occasional cigar, but it's not like I'm addicted to it. I've got friends that, gosh, they can't go a day without having a cigar. My brother, he stopped smoking probably 100 times. He'll stop for 10 days, a month, whatever it is. You think he's got a knock, he goes back because he is addicted to that, and so he. Just different personalities, I suppose. I have absolutely no desire to smoke a cigarette. And most of the time, no desire to smoke a cigar unless I'm with a group of guys. We're sitting down, we're having a brandy and a cigar, and we're having a conversation, or it might be on a golf course or something. And we'll have a cigar. No big deal.
That's one of the things I love. The taste of a good cigar.
Yeah,
it's. I've tried smoking pipe, and pipes smell absolutely wonderful when other people are smoking them. But when I try to smoke them, I'm going, this just doesn't even taste good, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You've got to stay on top of it. You got to be packing the thing and sticking your little deal in there, and you're constantly lighting it on fire. I'm going, this is too much work.
Yeah.
No wonder pipe smokers have got to be the most unstressed people, because you can't be stressed out and smoke a pipe. It's just not like cigarettes. People with cigarettes, man, they're all stressed out. They got to grab their cigarette and smoke it. But with a pipe, you just can't do that because you've got to calm yourself down. Because you got to
work at it. You have got to be a very patient individual to smoke a pipe. I will tell you this: you're talking about how you got a little buzz on with a couple of drags of a cigarette. Well, you smoke a cigar, and you're going to be higher than a kite. It really does put a buzz on you.
Yeah, and it does, and you don't even inhale it; it just goes through your mouth.
Yeah.
I have a brother who's 5 years older than me, and he's addicted too. and he's chewed for as long as I can remember, since he was probably, I don't know, since he was in the Air Force, maybe since he was 19 or 20 or something, and he can't kick that habit, and I've tried chew before, and oh my Lord, it gives you a crazy buzz. It makes me want to throw up, and I'm thinking, all I have is a piece of tobacco in my mouth, and boy, it just goes right through your system. It's unbelievable. So yeah, you don't even have to get that stuff in your lungs. But cigars, I love the flavor of cigars. I love the aftertaste from even hours later. But I know nobody else does, because your mouth smells absolutely.
Oh yeah, and you wake up the next morning thinking that a herd of buffalo took a dump in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
So listen, anyway, my friend.
We're done.
We are done. We're going to be, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing archive shows so that everybody enjoys the holidays. You will, people that are addicted to you will still be able to hear you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the archives we'll be playing. You have an absolutely wonderful holiday season and a wonderful Christmas. I know of no one that deserves it more than you do. You are a special individual in my book. So go out and
Robert, I feel the same way about you, and so I hope your Christmas is awesome and your New Year's is wonderful, and I'm definitely going to miss the next 2 weeks of getting together with you, but we'll have lots to talk about when we get back together after the first, that's for sure.
Sounds great. All right, my friend, have a good one. Stay safe, stay happy, and we'll talk to you next year.
You too, Robert. Thanks.
All right. And the rest of you folks, stick around, because when we get back, we'll be talking about the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and, interesting but useless facts. And then after that, we're going to be doing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story, Made to Sing, and I'll tell you all about those things.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:43 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's still 64 degrees outside here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 54 degrees. And you know what? We are expecting some storms tonight and tomorrow, so we'll see what California's famous liquid sunshine looks like. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, well, it's 46 degrees. And it's raining. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan, listening to our show, it's 39 degrees and, well, it's partly cloudy. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is the Harvard business tip of the day. The management tip today is companies should be transparent about their crises. You know, when a company faces a crisis, there's often a temptation to hide it in the hope that no one will notice. Research shows that this is always a bad approach. Attempts to sweep incriminating information under the rug will attract attention, actually extra attention, if and when the crisis actually surfaces, further damaging your company's reputation. It's far better to get out in front of a crisis and do what's called stealing thunder, self-disclosing the problem before the media gets hold of the story. This is not just more ethical, it's more sensible as well. Here's why. Self-disclosing increases the credibility of your spokespeople and your organization. When a company breaks the news about its negative event, the problem can appear less severe. Consumers perceive any subsequent media attention about the crisis as a follow-up. They think, I've already heard all about this, and therefore pay less attention to it. So get out in front of your stuff, your crises. Make it known. You know, it's time for our, time for our secret daily teaching for your life. It's all about a positive mental attitude. And, you know, you've heard me say it every day. You decide if you're going to be happy, sad, rich, poor, a success, or a failure. You do it every morning when you get up and look in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm going to have a fantastic, productive, profitable day today. And I'm going to make everybody around me happy and glad that they are. Well, you decide those things. And you know what? Our secret for today actually comes from Horatio Bonar. He was born in 1808 and died in 1881. He says, think truly in thy thoughts shall the world's famine feed. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what today is? Sure you do. It's a special day. You know why? Because it's December the 15th and it's somebody's birthday. Well, we've got some terrific birthdays today, so you know what? We might as well just get right to them. And here's the deal. December the 15th. This fellow was born in 1892, passed away in 1976, an industrialist and founder of Getty Oil. Yep, you guessed it. Also, an avid collector of art and antiquities. His collection formed the basis of the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles. So happy birthday, J. Paul Getty. And fellow born in 1949, an American actor well known on the series Miami Vice and husband of actress Melanie Griffith. Happy birthday, Mr. Don Johnson. And then finally, born in 1979 on this date, actor on the Gilmore Girls in his role as Seth Cohen on the O.C. Brody, also plays drums for the band Big Japan. Happy birthday, Adam Brody. Well, you know what? You were wondering about what was going on in history today. If you're not, I'm going to tell you anyway. Sit down, relax, and let me tell you what happened on December the 15th, 1939. Gone with the Wind received its premiere at Lowe's Grand Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And on this date in 1941, the American Federation of Labor adopts a no-strike policy in war industries. That was a good policy. And in 1973, John Paul Getty III, grandson of American billionaire J. Paul Getty, we were just talking about, is found alive near Naples, Italy, after being kidnapped by an Italian gang on July the 10th, 1973. Well, our quote for today comes from Suzanne Gordon, Lonely in America, 1976. And she says, "To be alone is to be different. To be different is to be alone." Kind of profound, isn't it? Well, you know what? Time for those interesting but useless facts. Let's go ahead and get right to them. Right off the top here, let's tell you that the Corinthian columns in the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C., are among the tallest in the world at 75 feet high, 8 feet in diameter, 25 feet in circumference, each built of 70,000 bricks. Wow. Can you imagine? Did you know that worms can have up to 10 hearts? I didn't know that. Seems weird, huh? You know the smallest known fish in the Pendaca pygmea? About the size of an ant and almost transparent. I don't think that'd be good eating. Did you know that ponies are small horses? Isn't that ridiculous? It's kind of, you just take that for granted, don't you? How about this one? On this planet, there is a can of Spam opened every 4 seconds. Can you imagine that? Now, as a young boy, I used to eat Spam at home. Don't know why. Later, just stopped. I don't know if I liked it or didn't like it, But I can tell you, if you go to Hawaii, it's all over the place. That's probably the single largest consumption of Spam in the world. Well, let me leave you with this one. Many years ago in England, pub frequenters had a whistle baked into the rim of a handle of their ceramic cups. When they needed a refill, they used the whistle to get some service. Wet your whistle is the phrase inspired by this practice. Wow, isn't that great? Well, listen, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. I'll tell you all about Made to Sing after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:54 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, you know what? It's still 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire. It's sunny. As I say, sunny in California, but the sun's gone down. Clouds have come up. It looks like we're getting ready for a storm. If you happen to be listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, 46 degrees and there is rain. If you're in Tokyo, Japan, 39 degrees. Yep. Partly cloudy in Sydney, Australia, 64 degrees in rain. And right now, time for us to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey in the rest of the story. Yes, sir. You know what? The American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He is Paul Harvey. Each and every week, millions of listeners, viewers, and readers were awaiting his unraveling of the mysteries of events and the lives of people past and present. He was heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. And Paul's story today is Made to Sing. You know what? This is the Deep South you never knew. A dimension of Dixie that makes headlines only indirectly. In Laurel, Mississippi, the Chisholms have always been a leading family. 40 years ago, it was no less true. Mr. and Mrs. Alexander Chisholm were the epitome of their social community. The Chisholms' housekeeper, Evelina, had been with them for over 45 years, and the relationship between employee and employers was much more than that. That was nearly a quarter of a century prior to the Civil Rights Act of 1957, when brotherhood was not yet enforceable by law. So when Evelina's little niece came over to play with the Chisholm daughters, it was not an avant-garde concession on behalf of the prestigious Chisholms. It came naturally. And when Evelina's niece expressed the desire to become a grand lady someday, it was Mrs. Chisholm who willingly took the tiny black girl under her wing. She gently guided her in etiquette and in apparel and prepared her as best she could to face the world with pride. Before such concern became fashionable, Mrs. Chisholm was the child's second mother, a concerned parent for whom the boundaries of color were no boundaries at all. During school vacations, the young girl asked if she could help her Aunt Evelina around the house. Mrs. Chisholm and Evelina, eagerly to have her nearby, agreed. The girl went to work for $10 a week. As the housekeeper's young niece worked about the Chisholm home, she sang. The young girl sang so well, in fact, that one day Mrs. Chisholm was inspired to call the child to the piano. Within minutes, Mrs. Chisholm, a trained musician herself, was able to detect a rare natural musical gift. The girl's tonal memory was excellent. Her sense of pitch precise. How would she like to become a singer? Mrs. Chisholm asked. A little chill went up in the girl's spine. She most prized possessions were recordings of Marian Anderson and other opera stars. Whenever the Metropolitan broadcast its productions, she would listen to the radio and listen, spellbound. Yes, the young girl assured Mrs. Chisholm she would like very much to become a singer. From that day on, each step was one step closer to the realization of her dream. A subsequent gathering in the Chisholm home, Mrs. Chisholm happily amazed her guests by presenting the slender young girl in the maid's uniform who could sing the classics with virtuosity and sensitivity beyond her years. When in time the girl was old enough, it was Mrs. Chisholm who sponsored her education and sent her to the Juilliard School in New York to study voice. Today, many years and a succession of successes later, she and the Chisholm family are still close, and surely always will be. And the phenomenon operatic talent, the long reigning empress of the Metropolitan Opera stage, the girl who once worked as a maid in Laurel, Mississippi, and whom love sent out into the world, is Leontine Price. And now you know the rest of the story. Well, on my next show, John Matthews and I are going to be talking about conservative politics on our semi-weekly simulcast. David Garrett will be here for Garrett on the Law. And I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Now, tomorrow's story going to be the gay Duke of Orleans. Yeah, I'll tell you all about that. And I want you to please tell all of your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. Oh, you'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.
Oi, 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 oi.